Welcome to the deep dive. We've all been there, I think.
Oh, definitely.
That moment, maybe at work or just out somewhere, and you get that distinct feeling someone's, looking down on you.
Yeah, that condescending vibe. It's unmistakable.
Right. It could be like the person always mentioning their PhD or their job title. You know, the type.
Or the one who just cuts you off mid-sentence like your opinion doesn't even register.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or maybe someone who's super critical of tiny mistakes others make, but totally blind to their own big ones.
And that weird shift in attitude, sweet to the boss, dismissive to the intern, just to feel, I guess, superior.
Yeah, and those interactions, they can just drain you, can't they?
Totally exhausting.
And it's tricky because you often can't just, cut ties.
Yeah.
Or just putting up with it feels, awful.
Right, it wears you down.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to dig into some ancient Buddhist wisdom, specifically from the Tripitaka.
The three baskets, yeah.
Yeah.
Zanza in Japanese. The sutras, the rules, the philosophy.
Exactly. And see how these sort of timeless teachings give us really practical ways to manage our own minds, respond wisely when we face that kind of behavior.
And it's not about fighting back in kind or just suffering silently.
No, it's more about protecting your own, inner peace,
Yeah,
your dignity, finding a way to be resilient.
well put.
Okay, so let's unpack this. First stop,
Yeah.
the Sutra Pitaka, the collection of discourses. And in there we find the four immeasurables.
Right, the Shimurishin. And what's so interesting here, I think, is how these four, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity, they offer a really counterintuitive approach.
Counterintuitive how? Because my first reaction is usually, not loving kindness.
Exactly. Anger, defensiveness, feeling hurt, that's natural. But the Sutra Pitaka says, wait, look deeper.
Okay.
It suggests that often that person looking down, they might actually be masking their own pain, their own insecurities, maybe a deep inferiority complex.
So what does that mean for us, practically speaking? The source suggests, silently wishing them well. Phrases like, may you be free from suffering.
Yeah, or may you find peace. It sounds maybe a bit strange at first, but it acts like a shield for your mind.
A shield? How so?
Well, it stops their negativity from taking root in you. Instead of letting anger or resentment build up inside, you consciously choose a different internal response.
So you're maintaining your own dignity by cultivating kindness,
Right.
even if it's just internal.
Precisely. You're not letting their attitude dictate your inner state. You keep your own sense of balance.
Okay, that's powerful. But then what? Mindset is one thing, but how do we actually act or react?
This brings us to the Vinaya Pitaka, right? The rules.
That's right. Traditionally, it's monastic discipline, rules from monks and nuns. But it holds profound wisdom for everyday interactions too, especially this teaching of upholding precepts, Jikai.
Which boils down to self-control. In a big way. Self-control in what you say, what you do, it addresses that key question. Someone's being demeaning. How do you respond without just getting exhausted?
Because reacting emotionally every time.
Exactly, or getting sucked into arguments, it just depletes your energy, your inner resources. And the core insight here is really striking. Sometimes silence can be the greatest compassion.
Okay, but silence, that could sound passive, couldn't it? Like just taking it.
That's a really important distinction to make. It's not about being a doormat, absolutely not.
Right.
It's about wise discernment. It's about maintaining a necessary boundary, protecting your own virtue, your energy. You don't have to jump into every fight someone tries to start.
So choosing your battles, essentially.
Yes, but, and this is crucial, but Vinaya also says that when it's truly needed, having the courage to calmly, clearly state that's wrong or that's not okay, that is also a vital, noble act.
So it's not always silence. It's about knowing when silence is strength and when speaking up clearly, calmly is necessary.
Precisely. Wise discernment, and not just blind acceptance or constant reaction. Protecting your own integrity.
Okay. Mindset from the sutras. Action or inaction from the Vinaya. What's next?
Now, we get to the philosophical core, the Abhidharma Pitaka, the basket of higher doctrine. This is where Buddhism really digs into the nature of mind and reality.
And the key concepts here for dealing with this issue are emptiness, ku, and dependent origination engi. Heavy stuff.
It can seem that way, but the practical implication is incredibly relevant for relationships.
How so? How does emptiness relate to someone being condescending?
Well, think about it. When you feel looked down upon, what's happening internally? You're often buying into a feeling of being inferior. You're clinging to that label.
Yeah, I guess how it feels real.
But the Abhidharma challenges this. Emptiness means that concepts like superior and inferior don't have some fixed inherent reality. They aren't solid things.
Constructed.
They're constructed, they're relative, they depend on context, comparisons, points of view. And dependent origination tells us everything arises together, interconnected, constantly changing. Nothing exists totally independently.
My feeling of inferiority isn't some absolute truth about me.
Exactly. And neither is their perceived superiority some absolute truth about them. These are fluid, temporary states and judgments.
So what's the shift then, if I internalize that?
The shift is liberation. It means that no matter what attitude someone throws at you, your fundamental worth, your core essence, doesn't actually change based on their opinion.
Their judgment doesn't define me.
Precisely. The real wisdom here is to gently shift your awareness. Move it away from how are they evaluating me and bring it back to what do I truly value? What's my internal compass?
Living from the inside out, sort of.
That's a great way to put it. That's what living emptiness can mean in practice, not being defined by shifting external perceptions, but grounded in your own intrinsic value. Their view reflects them, not necessarily you.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot to process, but it feels freeing.
It is.
And finally, the source ties this all together with a practical tool, right? A Gatha.
Yes, a Gatha. Think of it as a short verse, like a mental reminder or an affirmation, especially for when you feel troubled or provoked.
Kind of like a pocket-sized piece of wisdom.
Exactly. And the one shared is beautiful in its simplicity.
Okay, what is it?
This person also suffers.
Compassion.
Let go of the comparing mind.
Right, the emptiness, letting go of superior, inferior.
I just stand quietly.
The composure, the Vinaya's self-control.
With a mind unswayed by the wind.
Staying grounded regardless of external storms. See, it beautifully encapsulates the wisdom from all three Pitakas. Compassion from the sutras, composure from the Vinaya, and detachment from fixed labels from the Abhidharma.
It's like a mini meditation for difficult moments.
It really is.
Yeah.
A way to recenter yourself quickly.
So, wrapping this up, we've taken quite a journey through the Tripitaka today, all focused on navigating that tough experience of feeling looked down upon.
Yeah, moving beyond just reacting or enduring. Finding this path of, well, protecting your own mind with wisdom. With a certain kind of grace, maybe.
It really boils down to cultivating that kindness, even if just internally maintaining self-control and wise discernment in our actions, and crucially releasing our attachment to how others see us.
Understanding that superior and inferior are just concepts, not concrete realities.
Exactly. And that understanding allows you to walk your own path with more freedom, more resilience, less burdened by negativity that isn't really yours to carry.
Our goal today was really to give you a shortcut to getting informed on this, pulling out some hopefully surprising insights and practical tools from this ancient wisdom.
Hopefully giving you something useful to work with.
So maybe the question to ponder is this: what aspect of your own value, your own worth, are you perhaps allowing other people's perceptions or attitudes to define? And what might happen, what sense of freedom could you unlock if you started to gently shift that focus inward?
こんにちは。今日の探究なんですけど、食だとか、日常でこの人ちょっと見下してるなって感じる、そういう相手とどう向き合うかですね。なんか肩書きをかざされたりとか、意見を頭ごなしに否定されたりとか、そういう経験で心がざわついちゃうみたいなことありますよね。で、今回はですね、お預かりした資料がありまして、仏教の教えの根幹である三蔵ですね。経蔵、律蔵、論蔵。ここに関する資料を読み解きながら心をすり減らさずに、うまく対処していく、そういう知恵を探っていこうと思います。なんか単に怒ったり我慢したりっていうんじゃなくて、もっと建設的なアプローチがね見つかるんじゃないかなと。早速ですが、まずは経蔵から見ていきましょうか。これお釈迦様の教えがまとめられている部分ですよね。資料には四無量心っていう実践が紹介されてました。慈しみ、哀れみ、喜び、あと執着をしてると。でも正直なところ、見下してくる相手に哀れみ、つまり非の心を持つって、これかなりハードル高くないですか？
それはすごく自然な疑問だと思います。ここで経蔵が説っている非、哀れみっていうのは、 なんていうか上から目線で同情するのとはちょっとニュアンスが違うんですね。
あ、違うんですか？
はい。資料によると相手のそのちょっと攻撃的な態度とか見下すような態度の根っこにはですね、その人自身の満たされなさとか、あるいは劣等感みたいなそういう苦しみがあることが多いんだと。
なるほど。相手の中にも苦しみが。
そうなんです。だからこの人もその人自身の苦しみから解放されたらいいなって心の中で静かに願ってみる。これって相手のためっていう側面もあるんですけど、まずは自分の心をそのカッとなる怒りの反応から守るためという実践でもあるんですよ。
はあ、自分の心を守るため。
感情的に反発して消耗するんじゃなくて、むしろこの静かな視点を持つことがかえってあなた自身の落ち着きとか品を保つ盾になるんじゃないかと、慶三はそういうふうに示唆しているようです。
なるほど。自分のための非なんですね。腑に落ちました。じゃあ次は立像ですね。もともとはそのお坊さんたちのためのルールブックみたいなものですけど、これが現代の我々の人間関係にどう応用できるんでしょうか。文字解、言動を沈むというのが鍵みたいですけど。
はい。立像はより具体的な行動の規範に光を当てていますね。ここでいう文字解っていうのはただ黙って全部耐え忍ぶということではないんです。
あ、そうなんですか？
資料で興味深いのは、沈黙がある時には最大の慈悲になるって言いつつも、それはなんていうか無用な争いを避けて自分の心をすり減らさないためのある種の戦略的な距離感なんだとしてる点ですね。
戦略的な距離感。
そうです。むやみに相手の土俵に乗らないっていう、そういう知恵ですね。でもそれだけじゃなくて、同時に言うべき場面では、いやそれは受け入れられませんとか、それは違うと思いますと冷静にでもはっきりと境界線を引く、そういう自己主張の大切さもちゃんと説かれてるんです。だから立像の知恵っていうのは、戦わない強さとでも自分の尊厳を守るその健全な自己尊重とのバランスにあると言えるかもしれませんね。
戦略的な沈黙と言うべき時を言う、そのバランスですか。いやー、深いですね。そして最後は論像。これは仏教のいわば哲学的な分析の部分ですね。ここで空という重要な概念が出てきます。見下されたって感じると、私たちはどうしても自分は劣ってるんだみたいな感覚にとらわれがちですけど、論像はこの感覚そのものにメスを入れる感じなんですか？
まさにそこが論像の、核心部分ですね。空の考え方っていうのは、私たちがつい使ってしまう優れてるとか劣ってるみたいな、そういう固定的な ラベルですね。これは実体のないある種の幻想なんだと。
幻想？
全ての事柄とか評価っていうのは縁起、つまりいろんな関係性の中で仮に成り立っていて常に移り変わっていくものなんだと。ですから資料によると、誰かに見下されたように感じたとしても、それはあくまでその相手とのその場限りの関係性とか、相手の一時的な認識が生み出した現象に過ぎなくて、あなたの本質的な価値を決めるものじゃないんだということなんです。
なるほど。
この空の視点を、少しでも理解できると、他人の評価がどうこうっていうゲームからちょっと降りて、じゃあ自分自身は何を大切にして生きていこうかっていうところに意識を戻すことができる。それがすごく根本的な解放につながる可能性があるということですね。
他者の評価というゲームから降りるか。これはなんかすごく力強い視点ですね。それで資料にはこういう考え方を支える具体的な心の拠り所として、短い詩、芸文もいくつか紹介されていましたよね。この人もまた苦しみの中にいる。比べる心を手放して、私はただ静かに立つ。風が吹いても揺れぬ心で。
そうですね。これらの言葉は、心がざわざわした時とか、感情が揺さぶられた時にふっと心を落ち着かせて客観的な視点を取り戻すための、精神的なアンカーみたいな役割を果たすんでしょうね。
アンカーですか？
はい。単なる気休めとかじゃなくて、これまで見てきた慶像、立像、論像の知恵のエッセンスがすごく実践的な形で凝縮されてる、そんな感じがしますね。資料がわざわざこれらを選んで載せていること自体、示唆に富んでるなと思います。
さて、今回の三蔵からの探求、ちょっとまとめてみましょうか。見下してくるような態度に対して感情的にぶつかるのでもなく、ただ我慢するのでもない。慶像からはある種の慈悲による自己防衛の視点、立像からは適切な距離 とそして境界線を引くスキル。
はい、バランスですね。
そして論蔵からは他者の評価にそもそも揺らがないっていうもっと根本的な視点の転換。これらは心を消耗せずにしなやかに状況に対処していくための具体的で頼りになる武器になりそうですね。
本当にそうですね。他人の言動にいちいち振り回されずに穏やかに、でもちゃんと主体的に自分の道を進んでいくための実践的なヒントがたくさん詰まっていたように思います。ある意味それは心の自由を獲得していくプロセスとも言えるかもしれませんね。
心の自由。最後にですね、この探求を踏まえてあなた自身にちょっと問いかけてみてほしいなと思うことがあるんです。それは、なぜある特定のタイプの見下す程度があなたの心を特に強く揺さぶるんでしょうか。その反応のもっと奥深く根っこの部分にあるものを見つめてみること、それがもしかしたらあなた自身のさらなる理解とか成長につながる次の一歩への鍵になるかもしれないですね。